Welcome, wrestling fans. It's great to be back again. Episode 35, AEZ All Elite Zone, our podcast that we run every Tuesday night here on YouTube. So please like and subscribe, and tell your family and friends. We love support, and we love anyone who's watching and listening and contributing in the comments. We love that as well. So thanks for being here. And Adam, it's a pleasure again. And how are you doing, sir, this week?
I'm doing great. It's the Maddie and Adam show tonight again for Canada. So
it's okay. You know what?
Crazy. It's the consecutiveness. It's the consecutivity. That we can do it. Yes.
Right. We're gonna change. About to change it. We're just gonna call it the Adam and Matt show.
Matt and Adam, you are the host, sir.
Oh, fair enough. I didn't want to make. We can figure what rings off the tongue easier, right? So anyways, it's great to be back with you, and always have some great conversation, and there was no shortage of professional wrestling entertainment this weekend as we had the annual blockbuster of WrestleMania 40 XL, which was of the whole entire weekend. They had over 200,000 fans, I guess, between all the shows that they're putting on and the fan expos. So massive win for the company, which was hosted in Philadelphia this week. We're obviously going to touch on that. We're obviously AEW focused, but we just with so much going on and us being lovers of professional wrestling, we have to at least talk about it. So Adam, I'm assuming how much wrestling did you get in this weekend?
Quite a bit. I actually also followed a lot of the independent companies as well. GCW, I believe, had something this weekend, and I don't think TNA had anything. I'm trying to remember other promotions that had stuff, but there was quite a few of them that I try to stick with. I know Matt Cardona wrestled Blue Cane at a show this weekend. I follow Matt Cardona. I met Matt Cardona on social media, so he's been sharing it. He's saying, "This is revenge for when you threw me down the stairs." And I'm like, he's got the wrong cane, but I like where his head's at. But yeah, no, I've watched everything this weekend, including both nights of WrestleMania. I did miss Stand and Deliver, though. I did not watch NXT. I think that was on way too early for me.
Yeah, when was that on?
That was like during the day. Like it was like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, I'm sleeping in. It's a Saturday. I don't work today. So I'm going to sleep in.
Saturday. So it was on Saturday. Because, I remember because it used to be, or it seemed to be years ago, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I remember there was the whole weekend. It seemed to be like there was the Hall of Fame. And then the one night it used to be like NXT TakeOver. And then it would be, SmackDown? But it'd be SmackDown, and then it was TakeOver, and then that's when WrestleMania was still just a one night. So that was a big night on the Sunday, and then you would have Monday Night Raw on the Monday. But yeah, that kind of changed things up a bit when they moved WrestleMania to two nights. So I know the NXT happened. Yeah, and I just didn't know what time, but if they're having it early in the morning, that's kind of a. Yeah, I can see why you missed that. I missed it as well. I did manage to tune in to watch some of the Hall of Fame ceremonies, but the feed that I was watching, I got too late, so I missed the best part, which was Paul Heyman. I still need to go back and watch that. And I did see he came out in his ECW persona with the hat and the big black overcoat, and I think he had like the headpiece on as well, which was pretty cool. And I got to go back and watch it. It looked great. So yeah, maybe I don't know if you had a chance. Did you tune in? Did you watch the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I actually enjoyed all the speeches. Definitely enjoyed Bull Nakano's. I know her English is a little broken, but you still understood her. And she did mention that she's very thankful for being part of WWE, being in there and having that feud with Alundra Blaze, which was a huge feud between those two in the 90s. So it was a lot of people remembered that feud between WWF and WCW. I did see the US Express speech, and they really gave their hearts out for Wyndham, aka Bray Wyatt, who had passed away. And they had everyone take out their phones, turn the lights down, do the Firefly thing. I thought that was beautiful. Paul Heyman's speech, brilliant. It is actually the most viewed Hall of Fame speech now.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
Social media out of all history of WWE Hall of Fame speeches.
Really?
His is like the top one now.
Wow.
So, but he thanked a lot of people, and surprisingly, he thanked Brock Lesnar. Which, by again, how can you not? Even though there's even though there's controversy surrounding Brock Lesnar with the lawsuit going on, he still thanked him. I mean, he was his freaking manager since 2002.
Right.
So he's had a business partnership with him since 2002. So why wouldn't he? But it was a really great speech. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, no, Hall of Fame was pretty decent. I don't think it was the best class, but I did think there were some good speeches there.
Yeah, I kind of felt, and maybe again, maybe to the point, I thought it was a little bit weaker class where I thought the focus was first on Paul Heyman. And he was going to steal the show, and people are there to see him. And he obviously gave the best speech, like you said. Now he's number one in terms of Hall of Fame speeches. I also thought it was very fitting, and I don't think it's too coincidental to think that the U.S. Express is U.S. Express. Is
that it's the U.S. Express. It's
Barry
Mike Rotunda, Barry Rotunda, and Mike Wyndham, who was actually part of the very first.
You got to reverse that.
Oh yeah, no. But they were part of the first. Yeah, they were part of the first WrestleMania actually. So
right. So for two reasons, I could see because of that, because they did a lot of tie-ins. I felt with WrestleMania this year, because being number 40, there was lots of those like kind of throwbacks, mentions, right? Because a lot of historic. So I did think it was fitting that they did have a team that was there for the very first WrestleMania, but I also thought it was a bit of a nod and a show of respect to the whole Wyndham family, or Rotunda family as well, and it really coincided, with the passing, and just showing that respect and honoring Bray Wyatt, or Wyndham Rotunda. Now, I did. I'm actually surprised. I really like how they've really promoted. And again, I know we're jumped ahead here, kind of talking about the WWE. We're going to hold on, so I know we'll go back into Dynamite, but just I'll just, while we're on this point, I'm looking like they're really building up, and I felt with the documentary that they did, and having Bo Dallas there again, because they kept that so separate for so long. They never wanted to have those two guys together. They should have. They were starting to work together near the end, but the way they're really kind of pushing that they're brothers, right? I think this is a great time to bring Bo Dallas back, or Taylor Wyndham, I guess, or Taylor Rotunda, if he's going to be referred to, if he's carrying on the character of, or kind of carrying on that storyline that Bray started. So, which is great, because they get tons of these little vignettes, or whatever you want to call it, on YouTube, which are very well produced. And I can't help but think that those are WWE produced, even though part of it's like, is this real? Is this part of it? It has to be. It is, but because it is, because you can't be using all the parts of the story and not have it WWE produced, right? So I don't know. I'm hoping that it leads to something. I hope it leads to bringing back Taylor Rotunda in a way, and how, kind of letting him step into that bit of a role that Bray was doing. I don't know. What do you think that this was a bit of a way to have him come back? Is it more of a fan favorite now? With the ceremony, him inducting his dad, and being part of the Bray Wyatt documentary that was on.
Yeah, no, I think so. I actually did watch it Saturday. No, was it Saturday or Sunday? I finally watched it. I think it was Saturday that I finally watched it, or maybe it was Sunday. I can't remember. It was one of those days. But I watched the documentary on Bray Wyatt becoming immortal, and yeah, it was very emotional. I mean, as a grown man, I cried. So, because this isn't a wrestler who, took their own life, or, died from something from wrestling related. It was just someone who got sick, and that their health caught up to them because of the illness, and they passed away suddenly. And he was my age, so he was 36, just like me. I'll be 37 in May. So it kind of touched base on it, and watching Taylor talk about being someone looking up to his older brother, because I have an older brother, and so I'm the same way. I look up to my older brother. I love my older brother. So it was very emotional. But yeah, I think the tease at the end with Uncle Howdy behind the lantern was huge. And actually, if you haven't followed it, and I'm not ruining it for people, but there was stuff going on Raw. I believe during Bronson Reed's promo in the back when he's standing in front of the Andre the Giant's memorial trophy, the screen went crazy. And then during a commercial break, someone had posted on social media that they were playing like a musical song, and like they blackened out the arena and then they came back on. It's kind of reminiscent of when they brought Bray back, where in the arenas during commercial break they would play the Jefferson Airplane song, uh, feed your hair, feed your hair. They would play that in the arenas, and that kind of led up to Bray coming back at Extreme Rules. So I do see this as a way of bringing Bo back into the fold, whether it's as the Uncle Howdy character, although he did post on social media his Twitter under the Uncle Howdy, and he did post the white rabbit emoji. So, I mean, I do see this as a way of bringing Bo Dallas back into the fold of WWE.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I was a big fan of Bray. I was fortunate to actually see when the Fiend debuted at SummerSlam in Toronto, when he fought against Finn Balor, which was phenomenal. I've never seen, because he had the new themes, like the song that was done heavy with the lights. That was one when after he won and went back to the dressing room, or went behind the curtain, everyone in the arena actually like gave a standing ovation, because they were like, great show, because it was something I hadn't seen. We're like, yes, we finally were waiting for it, and it delivered, and it was a great performance live, and it really translated well. So because they talk about that and they show that part in the documentary, and I was like, yeah, I'm so glad. That's one of those things you don't realize you're part of history really until like something like this happens, and you think back, you're like, oh, I was glad I was part of that. Which was nice. But you know what? Like we said, we'll start. We kind of jumped into it. I think I got a little excited there to jump into WWE since I had about 15 hours of WWE this weekend, and including Raw last night. So again, some good stuff. But let's head back, and we can start with Dynamite from last week, and just kind of review, see some of the things that we liked, didn't like, where we think we're seeing things go, and then we can jump in and give our thoughts and do some reviews from WrestleMania. So again, if anyone's watching, listening, you want to pipe in with some of your comments, or you guys are always welcome. But you know what? We kind of started. Adam, we were kind of chatting about it when Adam Copeland came out, and he really started with a pretty heated promo, and he even commented and said to himself that, he had to get it out, right? And he made a comment about bringing his blood pressure down a bit, his heartbeats down a little bit. Really kind of felt going off script a little bit, but just showing his love. Obviously, it was a bit of a retaliation to, I guess, what had come out, stemming from the CM Punk interview that he had, and saying some things, about AEW, maybe the locker room, the way things are run. So when Adam had to come out pretty heated, saying, hey, like, there's a reason why I'm here. There's a reason why all these other guys are here. Like, there's so much talent here. This is an amazing place. Hey, we're just why we just love all wrestling. If you're a wrestling fan, we're all wrestling fans here. We all love each other. We all want each other to succeed. So I thought it was actually a really good promo. But maybe Adam, if you can, enlighten us a little bit on what kind of stemmed this promo from what is he talking about or responding to?
Yeah, so I'm pulling it up, and I'm going to pull it up right now. It basically stems from the previous weekend, not this past weekend, but last weekend. CM Punk had went on to a shoot interview, and basically it was an ESPN interview, and basically he was talking about his time in AEW, and basically I do have a couple of quotes that he had mentioned. So he did go into with the promo, and he had mentioned this. He goes, this is Punk speaking, by the way. This is not me. But and I proceeded to have what I think is a garbage match because I'm trying to protect myself on stuff instead of actually just working and trying to put on the best performance I can. I'm keeping an eye out. He chopped me in the mouth one time, and I'm just like, okay, you do that on purpose. You chip my tooth, and I'm like, all right, should I give you receipt? It changes the dynamic. It poisoned everything for me, and it made me really, really ugly. And it was just what set it all off. And here I am over a year later, and ain't shit has been done about it. This is basically his shoot on the brawl out from the previous year, the brawl out. And so basically he basically went on a shoot promo, basically telling AEW, he said he had friends there. He had no problem working with a lot of people there. He said there were maybe 5 to 7 people that didn't want him there. And he said, and I'm sure everybody can guess who those 5 to 7 people were. And so, and then he also went on to say that Tony Khan is a nice person, but he just is not the right kind of business person. That he shouldn't be running a company, but he's a nice guy. So he never said anything bad other than Tony Khan probably shouldn't be running the company, but he did say he's a nice guy. So basically the promo that Copeland Edge had posted on Dynamite, a lot of people are speculating, well, most of those words coming from Adam Copeland's mouth could be from Tony Khan. Me, I think it's 50-50. We have to remember Edge, yes, he was a longtime WWE guy, but the thing with that is he had a lot of ups and downs in WWE. There was that whole scandal going on with Matt Hardy, with him, Lita, Matt Hardy, the triangle kind of thing, and kind of Lita cheating on Matt Hardy with Copeland. And then, there was a lot of injuries. Then it was this time away. But he still, I guarantee you, he still had to do a lot of stuff, even his time away. Because even when he was injured and not wrestling, he was still making appearances in WWE. I'm sure that was taking time away from him and his family. At that point, he was married to Beth Phoenix, and they had kids. So I think what he was saying is, in that promo, he's talking about, this is the place I want to be. Copeland says, this is the place I want to wrestle, that I want to be at, i.e., this fits my schedule. But basically, this is the time where I can still wrestle matches, but also spend time with my wife and kids. Because their schedule is not that heavy in AEW. And not as heavy as WWE. I mean, with WWE, these wrestlers are making appearances places. They have to go on TV. They're at the live events every week. They have big pay-per-views this weekend. I mean, hell, Friday, before even SmackDown, and even this weekend before WrestleMania, a lot of these superstars are going to, different places in Philadelphia, going to the Boys and Girls Clubs and going to schools and visiting hospitals, doing Make-A-Wishes. So with AEW, I mean, they do the same thing, but they don't do it on a daily basis. They'll do the day of a show. Maybe they'll go do meet and greets. Maybe they'll walk around. Maybe they'll meet fans, but their schedule's lighter. And he also says, you get good wrestlers here. He goes on to name Okada. He goes on to name Ospreay. He goes on to name Monet himself. And so I think he sees it as kind of a career journey for him, almost like how Sting, we talk about Sting's legacy and talk about the best years of his career. I think we could all agree when he went to TNA and his final time in AEW. So that's what I kind of get taken away from that speech from Adam Copeland.
Yeah, you know what? I thought it was a good speech, and he made a good point where he rhymed off. And again, to your point, when he was rhyming off all these names, and then he also said, "And those are all first-time matches, by the way." Right? He rhymed off, "I could have a match with this guy and this guy." So that's exciting for guys like him, and it's exciting for the fans. So you know what? It's good. Sometimes you need to show the passion. I don't think it came out and slammed anything. Actually, what he said was very true, and it came from almost the heart of a true wrestling fan, right? So, and as a wrestling fan, first and foremost, I can understand why he was saying it, and the reasons why we love watching AEW. So it's good for him. So it's I just I thought we would kind of mention it because I had seen some things back and forth, and so it's interesting that it was really stemming from what CM Punk, the interview there, and also FCR, I guess, made some comments after Collision went off the air as well, kind of to address it. A lot of these guys have been working. So I feel like AEW is taking a lot of jabs these days, right? There's all the trolls, showing all the arenas and having to make comments and, oh, here we go. Like just it seems to be like just as crap all over AEW as much as possible. Which doesn't have to be. We're all wrestling fans, right? Just enjoy the product. Just enjoy it. We've said that before. But anyways, you know what? We'll see. That was just again some good passion that we saw there. I thought it was interesting. Bring up the match to kind of, I guess, set off the night after that, which was actually was Will Ospreay and Powerhouse Hobbs, still a Don Callis family matchup. I thought it was good. I thought there was some good spots, some good hits. They did a good job at the end of almost making it sound like there was some heat. But I did hear, and I'm not sure if you heard anything legit, Adam, saying that there's some heat backstage about, I guess maybe there was a botch that Hobbs did. But I never know what's real anymore with rumors. I feel like everyone's trying to just get everyone furious these days. So I don't know if you've heard anything different or what you kind of thought about this Don Callis family matchup.
No, I haven't heard anything about the botch or heat backstage with Will Hobbs. But I can tell, Hobbs is a really good worker to work with in AEW. When they've interviewed other AEW wrestlers, they say they like Will Hobbs. They said he's got star potential on him. So I really didn't hear anything backstage. And then this match was it was fine for what it was. It was another TV matchup for Will Ospreay to get him ready for, Bryan Danielson at Dynasty. And so, but there is that whole dynamic of the whole Ospreay staying in or getting out, kind of further branching away from the Don Callis family, which I think is probably the best thing. I don't think he needs to be associated with that group. I think him on his own is just perfect on his own. And I can kind of see this match with, Bryan Danielson at Dynasty is almost like a launch pad for him and maybe Bryan Danielson to kind of have a couple tag team matches together. That'd be really cool to see. Not necessarily worth tag titles, but just see them tag together would be a really cool dynamic. But I saw the match for what it was. It was just, another Don Callis put together, this is our family, kind of getting Will Ospreay maybe further and further on the outside of the Don Callis family.
Yeah, to your point, I just want to point out that there was, and this is awesome chant. So, which I'm glad, because again, like you said, Hobbs deserves some accolades, and I know I think they may be putting him in a good position. I know, there's a lot of people always kind of felt like, are they burying him? Are they pushing him and whatever? But I thought this was a good match, and it's always nice to get that. This is awesome for a chant for a guy like him, who's a bit of a workhorse. Yeah, it'll be interesting because again, the way because who's really going to be the heel when it comes to that match at Dynasty with Bryan Danielson and him? At the end of the match, as Ospreay's going up the ramp, then you get Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, doing a bit of heel move where he's like, "No, start my music, right? Cut him off. Let's end your finale as you walk back. Let's cut it short." And sorry, here we go. And he kind of gives him that smirk, right? So that was a bit of a heel move. I will find it interesting, and it will be: do we see Don Callis accompany Will Ospreay in his match with Daniel Bryanson? Oh my God, I keep on his name like Daniel Bryan. We're just going to Daniel Bryan. Or, do we see Don Callis come down at all? Because again, it's kind of giving a mixed message because he's such a huge heel manager. But you know what I mean? So yeah, it's kind of that weird gray area. So do you think we're going to see him come down to the ring at all for the Dynasty? No?
No, I don't think he will. I think this is strictly a Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay one-on-one, no one around No Blackpool Combat Club, no Don Callis, no one from the Don Callis family around, just these two guys going at it and giving us just the dream match we really want to see.
Yeah, there's so many potentials, right? You could see Don Cal's family come out. You could see Don coming down and being on commentary, so he's there. It's kind of adding to this gray area of like, is he not? So it'd be interesting to see if something does happen, because I think that should give you an answer either way. Is he in or he's out, right? So I think something needs to happen to have a definitive answer on that. So I mean, also on the show, kind of, I guess, to the point, which I'm actually glad. I know he hasn't been really winning the matches, but I actually do like seeing more Lance Archer, and I like he's getting more TV time, even though, again, yes, he is on TV. He happens to be losing, but still, he's still on TV, right? He's still giving, and he's still in some pretty significant matches, and he was with Brian Danielson, so which was a good match. Kind of a bit of if you look at from a size comparison, it looks like a complete mismatch, but that never seems to stop Brian anyways, because he just gets you down on the mat and then he can just do all his submission moves and whatever. So for him, I'm sure it doesn't really matter. He just does a couple of elbows or knees in the face, a couple of boots to the face, get you down, and gets you the yes kicks in place. But again, he's got a good. I don't even know who's supposed to be the heel, like I said, for the match at Dynasty, because again, the fans are even behind Brian Danielson. I think the most right now. The yes chants are like in full swing, so there's some really good support here. And I knew this was too. We knew it was going to be a match where Brian was going to win. We knew that, right? Because again, they got to keep on point the winning records, right? So that it makes sense with Ospreay, but. What'd you think? Did you appreciate seeing the Murder Hawk out, even though he lost again?
Yeah, no, it's always good when you get Lance Archer on TV. I freaking love that guy. I think he's so underappreciated. I think he does great work in New Japan, and the fact that he's back on TV with AEW kind of makes me happy. So, but yeah, I kind of saw this as kind of a mismatch, but also just the whole Brian Danielson defeats a tall ass wrestler. Just kind of get him ready for a high flyer like Will Ospreay at Dynasty. And I give credit where credit's due, and I'm glad Tony Khan booked this match and got Archer back on TV, because I know a lot of people had missed seeing him on TV. He's had a couple of matches with the Righteous as well. Mm-hmm. So, but as a team. So, but it's really exciting to see him wrestle, especially against someone like Brian Danielson. It's kind of like comparing it to, like, bring his name up again, but Brock Lesnar wrestling the smaller guys because they had a better match. And so I think that's what you kind of see with Brian Danielson wrestling any bigger wrestler than him. So I truly appreciated that.
No, I agree. I hope they do give Lance Archer a few squash matches or anything, or just a show, because again, he's a guy that kind of deserves it. And he's taken I think he's put on some good performances. He's taken the losses, so I think you do need either in a 6-man match, with what are they called again? The
Righteous.
The Righteous. Sorry, yeah. Either in a 3, like have them maybe battling a little more in the trios division. Have them actually maybe really becoming contenders. I think they're starting to. There's a few things. It's just floating around. I just want them to commit to these 3-man, the trios, and just really start putting some really good rivalries together. Because there's some good there's some good teams that all have 3 now. I think more than ever, there's a lot of 3-man tags right now that are possible. So I really think they need to start beefing that up and utilizing the trios titles more than they have for creating better feuds. I feel like there's just a lot of things that are going to waste right now. I don't know how you're seeing it right now, Adam.
Yeah, for as far as the trios titles go, yeah, there's only really 2 trios teams battling over all that titles, and it's the Bullet Club Gold and the Acclaimed. And I'm like, we need more. I mean, we need more House of Black getting back in that trios picture. We need Lance Archer and the Righteous, and one big group I think we need to get back into is Dark Order. I don't think they're getting enough TV time or enough say in the trios division at all, and I'd love to see them get more involved.
Oh yeah, you know what? Again, there's Dark Horse. I even forgot about those guys. Again, really entertaining guys. There's a lot of good talent, and that you really, really could start utilizing. Again, even in the for Ring of Honor for their 6-man tag titles, right? Like there's a lot that they could be doing to utilize more of these guys.
Yeah.
So there's another match. And I quickly, before I finished watching the match, people are starting to get pretty angry online, and they're really starting to feel that AEW is burying Jay White, and they're not doing as best as they can with him, and he deserves more from what he's done. He should be more in the, he should be. Wrestling Billy Guns, he should be up there, right in the the top tier, battling, in some of these key matchups. But I don't know. I kind of feel like I really kind of hope they do something with this storyline and kind of bring it just, finish it up, and let them kind of go in direction. I'm kind of tired of, you know, the claims, with Daddy Ass going against the Bullet Club Gold. I don't know. I'm just kind of ready for a change. I think he needs to go as a singles, kind of maybe separate himself a little bit. I mean, I don't know when Juice Robinson's coming back. I know they were a good team. I mean, yeah, I like the Guns. I like the guy Guns. I don't really have an issue. I'm just kind of tired of this storyline. I don't think it's doing anything for him. And him getting the crap beat out of him by Billy Gunn, for 15 minutes. Until like the kind of, got the Suns came in and, saved the day. And I guess it was a disqualification. But I don't know. How are you feeling about Jay White these days and where the direction is? And do you feel they're utilizing him? And again, did you like the match with Billy Gunn?
I totally blew past that match just because I'm like most people, I'm over the story. Like it has dragged on so long and there's no interest in it anymore. I mean, we look at someone like a Jay White who was just over a year ago, like headlining a pay-per-view with a MJF for the world title. And now he's doing this crap with, the acclaimed Daddy Ass and Bullet Club Gold. And yeah, Juice Robinson, can't wait till he gets back. I mean, once he gets healthy and he's back and he's with the group.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd like to see them kind of do something different of where they can all do their own thing without being involved as a group. I mean, you could see it in a lot of other promotions. Moose is part of a group over in TNA and he's a world champion, but he usually does his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't come out. He comes out with the group, but then they go in the back, and then, with Bullet Club Gold, it's almost like the Guns, or even sometimes when he was around, Juice Robinson would stay ringside. And it's like, well, and Jay White's not doing anything. And, there was a time when he was like the biggest get for AEW and, a big heel and all that stuff. But it's like they've done nothing other than stick them with the Guns and have them hold the trios titles for Ring of Honor, 6-man, and do this feud with the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass. And I'm like, I'm over this feud. Like, this isn't going to go anywhere. What's the payoff? Where they wrestle each other with winner take all with all 6 titles? Like, even with that, you're basically downplaying your Ring of Honor 6-man titles. If you do that, if you have the Acclaim and Daddy Ass hold both of those titles, you're basically taking prestige away from that Ring of Honor 6-man. And you got a whole Ring of Honor roster that can hold those titles. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm kind of over the whole storyline as well as just overlooking this whole match in general.
Yeah. You know what? I think they should. I don't think it's doing anything for the Ring of Honor 6-man tags being in AEW full time. Almost like held by guys that I almost could care less to have them, which I think it takes it away. I think they just put them back down to where they were. Let them, like you said, they've got a locker room that'll fight for it. Keep it there and keep the storylines there with that. It's getting mixed up. I even forgot almost that the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass have the trios belts. It just feels like it's a forgotten thing. They really need there's so much potential to really make this something. You separate these teams, get these titles away from each other, get the titles away from these guys, If anything, the Acclaim should be back into the tag team realm. You know, they could have. This would have been a good time if they, with this tournament, if they had get rid of the belts. Yeah, Daddy Ass was there. They're still with them, but they actually were in the tag tournament they just had. We get it back to what they were, right? You know, get the belts, start the feud outs, get the belts looking back, get the pink. I'm tired of looking at the pink belts. Make them serious again. I just don't think it's been seriously taken for a while. You know, if you don't, if you're not going to put Jay White right into the championship, the heavyweight championship, you know, class, then have him in battle. Again, I think he great matches could be with Adam Copeland. I think that would be a great little feud that you could have for the TNT title with those guys. Great promos, great works. You know, I think there'll be some great matches there. I think you'd have some killer matches and get him back up to the status where he was and should be. You know, and you know, because again, fans are starting to, you know, well, fans always complain, but they're really starting to complain that they're saying, "Hey, what's going on here?" So, anyways, we'll see. I mean, I don't know how you feel, if you think there's something else on the horizon, if he's not going to be, if they're not going to put him again in the contendership, which we feel. I mean, I don't know if you feel, I feel Swerve's going to win at Dynasty. You know, does that set up kind of with Swerve coming in? Is that going to open the door for a whole bunch of new potential opponents? And could Jay White be potentially thrown into that top tier?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of story going on in that world title picture, because the fans are so behind Swerve right now winning it that maybe he does. I think I said it before, where I think Joe gets the title back eventually. I think you get a feel-good moment with Swerve, you know, winning the title. And then at the next pay-per-view, Joe challenges again, and that's where you get Hangman Page come back, screwing Swerve out of retaining his title. Joe becomes a two-timer. And then that kind of sets up, you know, like you have Swerve win at Dynasty. Then you have Joe win at Double or Nothing thanks to the help of Hangman Page. And then I believe after that you have All In is after Double or Nothing. And so for that, you try to figure out a big main event. And I had suggested a four-pack or a four-way or six-pack match for the title. I mean, if it's a four-way, which I think they would go, you would have to have Swerve, Joe, Adam Cole, and basically MJF if he comes back by then. I think MJF makes a surprise return at Double or Nothing after Joe screws Swerve, and have Joe and Page beat up Swerve until Adam Cole comes out. He's healthy. And all three of them beat up Swerve until MJF makes a return with a chair in hand or whatever, clears the ring from the chair, and Swerve and him look at each other, nod, and everything like that. And that's how Double or Nothing goes off the air. Then at All In, you have Swerve, Joe, Cole, MJF. I think you keep that going, and then, you know, wherever you go from there, you go from there. But I mean, that's how you go. But yeah, no, for me, I went on a rant and I forgot what we were talking about. Basically. But yeah, no, with Joe and Swerve. But yeah, for the world title with Jay White, I don't know if Jay White will ever get back to that world title picture, but I'd like to see him challenge for like a continental title or the international championship or the TNT title against Adam Copeland. So, I mean, I just want to see Jay White back in the singles division.
Yeah, you know what? You put him in. There's a lot of potential matchups, even if you're not considering that top tier like we're talking about for the championship. But again, like with the Okadas, the Ospreys, you know, he's got source of history with some of these guys from being over New Japan that you could really bring back and have some of those great matches here. I think those matches would be really good to help showcase him back to what he's really capable of. I was thinking to your point there when you mentioned about MJF coming back and how he would come back. I have this thing I think it'd be pretty sweet. I mean, if he came back and all of a sudden he's in the ring and he's actually has the devil's mask off and he pulls the devil's mask off, like this was mine and it's me, right? Because he's kind of lost it. It went over to Adam Cole and he was wearing it and it kind of took away the devil persona from MJF. But I think that'd be a great way to bring him back. Like this was me, it was always me, and now you're going to face the real devil, which is me. So I think I kind of predict, I think that would be kind of a cool way to do it. I think the crowd would go bananas, when they see that he's pulling off the mask and it's MJF, right? So I think that'd be kind of a cool way to bring back. But I guess I know we're going to take a few minutes, or probably more than a few minutes, to talk about some WrestleMania results. But definitely wanted to bring up and maybe get your opinion on. And I guess it was the for the AEW World Tag Team Title Tournament semifinal. This match was the Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, versus freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta, with God Lover Sue. It's Sue and Chuck Taylor. Again, I know the match was a good match. I think it's ended the way we thought it was going to end. But, and I know we've been kind of hinting at this probably the last 4 shows at least. We've been talking about what we're thinking is going to happen with Trent, with his a bit of a build-up with an attitude adjustment that he's had. So at the end of the match, I guess he takes a loss. He gets really angry. He's frustrated, and he takes it out on Orange Cassidy. Kind of a surprise, since they're all supposed to be best friends, and walks away, and he even walks past his mom. And I wanted to get your opinion. What did you, I know we've been talking about it. Did you suspect that this was how it would end, or how did you feel about this turn?
Well, I'm actually also going to answer Roy's question here about the TK CM Punk stuff. It is kind of embarrassing on both ends, and everyone should move past it. Funny part is, on Dynamite tomorrow, they're going to show exclusive footage from All In. But it could be a swerve, as they may be mentioning fallout from All In, as far as they did promote that, FTR and Bucks are going to wrestle at All In, but the Bucks are going to present this footage from All In. It could have been a follow-up from their match against FTR from All In London. So is it really going to show backstage altercation with CM Punk? Or is it going to be a swerve by both Khan and the Bucks saying, oh, no, we got you guys. This is just on the Young Bucks and FTR from last year. We're not going to be that petty and show Punk stuff. Whatever. We're not going to open those kind of doors. So I think that's what it's going to be. But they may show Punk stuff. And if they do, Tony Khan needs to just move on. I mean, if you guys haven't seen my Talking Elite from last Thursday, we give a lot of word to Tony Khan. I mean, we still like the guy. We still glad that he brought us something alternative, but he does need to get back to being the boss and putting his foot down. Now, as far as this tag match last night goes, I was 50-50 on it, because I'm kind of happy Trent is breaking away, because Trent has had that star power. So Trent has had a lot of great matches. I mean, you got to remember, we were just talking about him. Who did Trent wrestle on that person's first Rampage? Jay White. When Jay White debuted in AEW on that Rampage, I was at that show. That was in Nashville. He wrestled Trent Beretta, and they had a hell of a match. Yes. And so, because it was the Dynamite / Rampage tapings leading up to the dog collar match at Revolution. So when Jay White debuted, Trent Beretta was his first opponent on Rampage. So Trent breaking away, I'm kind of happy, because Trent has, since he cut his hair, the shorter hair, he's gotten meaner. He's gotten more aggressive in the ring. And I think perfect for him to basically break away from that and go heel. I think he will probably do some of his best work as heel. And the fact that he walked past Chuck, didn't say a word, and then just walks past Sue. Well, later on, exclusive footage was backstage catching up with Chris Statlander, running up to Trent, asking him, what was he doing? That's your friends. He leans in and whispers something in her ear and walks away, and she just stares at him. So a lot of people are now like, ooh, he just planted something in Chris Statlander's ear. So a lot of people are saying maybe it's something about, is Willow your best friend? Is Willow holding you back? He might have said that to her. He might have whispered into her ear, they held me back, and Willow's doing it to you, and then walked away. And she kind of gave him that look. Because think about it. She's not the one challenging Julia Hart for the TBS title. Willow Nightingale is. Willow Nightingale wasn't the one that took the loss in that tag match against Julia Hart and Sky Blue. Chris Statlander did. So, I mean, it's great that Trent Beretta is like carrying this heel persona and like planting it into other people, especially like someone like Chris Statlander. Because to see him and Chris form this heel duo would be awesome. I think those two perfectly break away. I don't think they should be paired with anyone. They both need to be solo, or if they're going to do this heel thing, do this heel togetherness, so, but I know a lot of people, and especially our favorite person here, Siren, she was waiting for, Orange Cassidy to go dark, but it's because Orange Cassidy has too much of a good fan base and too many of the kids like Orange Cassidy that you won't see Orange Cassidy kind of go heel just yet. But the fact that Trent did, I was very happy that they did the heel turn for Trent.
Now, do you think, because again, with something like this, if he's going to be on his own, or I like your idea, I think him and Chris, I think that'd be really cool. And she's wearing more black these days and looks really good. And I'd like her as a heel. I think it's time. I got really tired of her, but I actually have more interest in her in this direction. So it'd be nice if that actually happened. And wouldn't it be interesting if this would be also, because again, unless Trent is going to have a major personality and have, really, because you have to, he's going to have to do a lot of good promos, right, to get the character across, get his heel character. What if he aligns himself with Stokely, right? Stokely's got Statlander. He's been dying for her to go heel, right? And if he does, and then you've got him, could be a great mouthpiece and could give, because he is a heel's manager when he's in full heel mode. Could we see a mouthpiece like that for Trent and Statlander? I mean, maybe. Does it fit? If they don't, then again, like, they're going to have to give Trent a really strong character and let him cut some good promos that he's got to really get across well. I don't know. What do you think?
I think so. You just got to let him cook, because a lot of people don't know, but Trent, if you give him time and some paper and some time to cook, Trent can actually cut a promo. If you watch a lot of his old independent days with his long hair, he cut promos really well, him and Chucky T as a tag team. And yeah, they were a comedy tag team, but Trent did a lot of the talking for the team, and he can cut a promo. And I just think just getting him kind of like in a dark room, just letting one light hit him, a solo light hit him, just let him talk from the heart and just let him get emotional about it. I think Trent can just deliver promos week after week after week. And then you just add on top of that his work that he does in the ring, and you've got a good build to a really good heel. And you got a good build to a heel that can probably win a singles title eventually. I think Trent's due for a run with a singles title. And so I think it'd be this heel turn that perfectly aligns him with it. And as much as I think it would be cool to have him have the mouthpiece, again, if you give him time to cook, and I mean, the guy's been in the business for a long freaking time. So you give him time to cook and you give him just the right mood setting, I think Trent's good on his own.
Oh, I agree. I don't know if you guys can see my you can't really see him. My little buddy Tommy boy here, he's my cat. my 16-year-old cat here. He's trying to get on my lap. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what happens there. I forgot just before we do just chat about WrestleMania. I thought the contract signing was done well with Swerve and Samoa Joe, and we got some action there. And yeah, Swerve really got an ass whooping there. Which is nice because then again that just sets it up even more as the baby face as a comeback, where Joe used the chain and busted him open. I think he went through the table, but we got Swerve in Swerve fashion to use his own blood to sign the contract, with his own blood, which seems to be kind of vintage style Swerve. So that was a nice way to finish it off, and a nice big promo. And again, just shows, really sets up Joe, as Joe can bring it to anybody and don't mess with Joe, right? So they do a good job going like, man, he just kicked the crap out of Swerve. Maybe he will retain. So I think they're building it up, the storyline, pretty well. How did you like that? Is that one of the better contract signings we've seen in professional wrestling?
Yeah, I think so. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to the Thunder Rosa Mariah May match, because they did excellent work in that match, as well as the post match, where again I give props to production, because I had mentioned this on my Thursday show for Talking Elite about when Thunder Rosa got out of the ring after beating Mariah and going to confront Tony at the table, how they just do that split screen of color on one side and the black and white for Tony on the other.
Yeah,
so again, hats off for production for that. So hats off for that whole segment. But yes, the contract signing, I mean, my God, some of the verbiage used in that promos. I mean, the fact that Joe said, "Make you forget you left P. Diddy's party on time," and then Swerve calling Joe a bitch, and then at the end when he's bleeding in the ring, just him laughing, classic Swerve going, "I love this shit."
Yeah.
And I mean that was great, and I got a pop from the crowd. He says, if that's all you got, I'm taking your title. And him wiping the blood, and of course the crowd chanting, "You sick fuck, you sick fuck." Like, they got into it. I mean, it was probably one of the better contract signings in professional wrestling I have ever seen. And just the Ugani, or whatever you call that move through the table, but was just the piece of the resistance. So yeah, definitely excellent segment.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a good way to finish. And I know Collision, which I know we just talked about, but I think Collision was purpose. I know Collision went on at 11:30 on Saturday night. They're saying it always going on after the basketball, playoffs. I guess
Yeah,
it was the
Final Four.
The Final Four. So I get that, but it also made sense to wait until WrestleMania was over, because like, are you really going to have Collision compete with WrestleMania, really? So again, smart. So I think it did two things, right? Hey, we're off to, it's a Final Four, so we got to play after anyways. But yes, it's coming on after WrestleMania night one finishes. So I think that was deliberate. So again, Adam, as we approach kind of the end of the first hour here at 53 minutes, definitely want to maybe talk about some of the highlights, get your thoughts on the WrestleMania weekend. I just before I forget and I lose it, I don't know if you noticed it, but when they were kind of talking about Cody and Cody's story, the build-up, I was actually pretty surprised that they showed a picture of the Bucks with Cody, and then they showed a picture of Jericho and
Kenny Omega.
And I was like,
they did show, yeah.
Wow. I was actually floored that they did that, which is awesome, because again, AEW has been really open about, you see the guys, they talk about Cody, and there seems to be more, which thank God, I'm so over this, hey, if you're not here anymore, you didn't exist, we're not even going to mention you. It's like, you were never here, right? I know, like, Cole, when he was doing the commentary and the whole point, because you're bringing it up, some of the biggest matches from WrestleMania, he mentioned Jericho's name. He had mentioned other guys' names that were there, which I love, because then they were there. They were a big part of it. Again, I was actually really surprised that they showed a picture of the Bucks and, the guys there. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Again, I think that is, to me, that looks like a total sign of respect for the industry. And you've got Rock using professional wrestling again, which I love. I don't know. Did you notice that as well? Did you see that? What did you think about them showing some of
Yeah,
these
no,
pictures?
it was interesting. I even said to myself, I was like, holy cow, they just showed the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. You know, Jericho's one thing because Jericho was with WWE for a long time. He's
Right.
going to be mentioned with them for a very long time.
He'll be a Hall of Famer there
He'll
anyway.
be a Hall of Famer with WWE. So the fact that they showed the Young Buck, I mean, talk about his journey and how he went away and like did all these things. You know, they showed him the picture of him holding the NWA title. Then they showed him with the Young Bucks and they showed him with Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega. I was like, wow. Which makes me think the whole crap with tribalism. It almost makes me think where, yeah, these guys are taking shots at each other of other promotions, but is there some deep down feeling that maybe they're talking to each other? You know what I mean? Like Triple H is in contact with Tony Khan. Tony Khan is in contact with Triple H. Triple H also is in contract with TNA people. Tony Khan's in contact with people from TNA company. All these people talk to each other. It's one industry. So it's the fact that people are saying on the internet, oh, they're all taking shots at each other. It's like deep down inside me, I'm like, I would love for it to be the biggest swerve in the history of professional wrestling that they've been good all along and they're cool with each other. I mean, how else are you going to get approval of showing Cody Rhodes with pictures with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega without, because I had that underthought tone. I was like, how are they going to show the pictures without saying or contacting that other company and saying, is it okay if we do this? Because we don't want you to sue us. Because there is that possibility that you would have to get approval from someone's image, you know, unless they have that NIL deal like the college kids do about, you know, their image and likeness and getting paid for it. Guarantee you Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks had that same thing where you can't use our pictures or our names without our approval. So there's some tone to me underneath saying they have to have talked to him. They had to him because there's no way they would have gotten away with that, even in today's world of professional wrestling. So part of me wants to think that Triple H and Tony Khan are secretly talking to each other just based on the fact that they showed those pictures of Cody with all those guys from AEW. I mean, it just blows my mind.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And it even crossed my mind. I'm like, is this foreshadowing? Are we going to eventually see the Bucks eventually in WWE and come over with Cody and rekindle? And I mean, we never thought Cody would leave because Cody was one of the foundations of AEW. I mean, and he left and got up and look at his career. Like, so I don't know. Is it any kind of foreshadowing at all? You know, all the wrestlers they could have showed, and they showed those guys in the picture, right? So unless, you know, Cody was like, no, adamant, I want these guys. These guys were the guys that got me to this. I need to show, and this is part of my story, and this is where I'm. But you're right. Okay, then we get a call and say, hey, would you like to? We want to use your picture to appear on WrestleMania? Yeah.
And note, think of it this way: they interviewed Triple H, and Triple H says he wants something different. He wants to make something bigger with WWE. Remember one thing that Vince hated when he bought WWE, and one thing that kind of disappeared as soon as WWE became this kind of global phenomenon. What kind of disappeared once it started growing?
The regional competition, right?
Territories. Other territories started disappearing, and Vince didn't care. He was putting them out of business. Someone like Paul, Triple H, respects the history of pro wrestling, that maybe Paul kind of opens up his door a little bit and saying, I want to work with other companies. I want to make something bigger here. I want to make WWE something awesome. And if I can work with other companies, we saw it at the Royal Rumble with Jordynne Grace. Jordynne Grace from TNA was brought over. I mean, just to appear in the Royal Rumble. And she's their champion over there. So it's kind of weird. So he's got that door with them. What does not say Triple H goes, you know what? I can be a businessman, and if it makes both of us happy, I will do business with Tony Khan. Now it comes to the end of, would Tony Khan want to do business with them? Here's what I think. Tony Khan is the businessman that we want him to be and the boss we want him to be for AEW. Hell yeah. Do business with Triple H, Tony. If it makes both of you money, do it. If it makes the wrestlers money, do it. Because that's what it's about. It's making money for everybody working for these companies. Nobody wants to be broke. Nobody wants to be poor and be like, how am I going to help my family out? So if it makes you money, then do it. And that's why I think Triple H is kind of these old school guys that understands the business of pro wrestling and understands the idea of territories. And remember, I mean, the Royal Rumble happened under Triple H's watch. I guarantee you Jordan Grace coming over from TNA would not have happened under Vince at all. Because Vince wanted to be the only game in town. That was his thing. He wanted to be the only game in town. Triple H, he has no problem working with other companies. So, I mean, that's just my take from it.
Yeah, I think you need the healthy competition. Everybody wins, like kind of to your point there. Like, how many guys out there and how many girls out there now? There's more professional wrestlers out there than there ever has been. There's more developmental gyms and organizations out there than there ever has been. I think it's only fueling. And if Triple H is smart, and if you care about the business, you just want the business overall to thrive, succeed, and you're not going to maintain and have the availability of these such great wrestlers, and you need it for your product without having some of these guys and girls go through the developments, get that experience, learn, develop character. I know there's a WWE way, and I know they have to almost say it's like learning everything, again, because it's just done differently. But you've got, it just brings in, there's just a more of a pool to pull from, right? So to me, it makes sense. And I don't know. And again, I almost thought when I heard the Shield music go on during the Roman and Cody's, I was like, oh my God, is Moxley? Is he actually going to come out? Like, I'm sure everyone must have crossed their line that, okay, we know, oh my God, Seth coming back out, got it. But Moxley? He was like one of the three. And for a second there, I was like, oh my God, please, this would be unbelievable. And that would be that open door thing. If he had come out, that would have been amazing. And the place would have gone bananas if that was, it's unfortunate, but I really, again, it's that, why would you cross that? Why would you pick Shield? Why would you pick that to happen and have like a main member on a competing product right now? I don't know. What did you think?
I honestly thought it was going to be Mox too. Once the Shield music hit, I was like, there's no way Mox is there. I mean, there's no way his contract would have allowed it. But part of me was like, he might have. They might have made a special thing, a special, request for him. But anyone from AEW, I would have thought they made a special request for to be there was Dustin.
Dustin, yes.
I honestly thought Dustin would be the exception there, and showing up. But the fact that you have to remember that it was Rollins, and this is what's great about storytelling in professional wrestling. This is what was great about the CM Punk MJF feud, because there's storytelling there. There's storytelling with the Christian and Adam Copeland storytelling there, like years and decades of storytelling there. Because remember, MJF and CM Punk had decade before of when he was a kid and he went to meet CM Punk and he got the picture with him and he put it on his shirt, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with Rollins and Roman, because you watch that. And I actually got it before anyone else had posted on social media about the long-term storytelling, but it was almost foreboding that Rollins came out in the Shield stuff, because he had promised Cody to be his Shield during his match against Roman, and B, it's a decade in storytelling of when Rollins betrayed the Shield. I mean, if you watch the video side by side and you time it up perfectly of when Rollins hit the Mox with the chair and when Roman hit Rollins with the chair at WrestleMania, they match up perfectly, and how they both fall was perfectly matched, because Mox falls into the rope with his head. That's how Rollins falls. So it's perfectly decade storytelling. So it basically comes back to Roman had a choice. He could have hit Cody and finished it and been like, I'm winning here if I hit Cody. But that animosity that he had from 10 years earlier to Rollins from the Shield is what bit him in the ass and cost him his title. And that's why I love the storytelling in professional wrestling. It's something that AEW needs to get back to. I mean, they've only had it in 2 stories so far, and that's Edge and Adam Copeland, or Christian and Adam Copeland, CM Punk and MJF. I mean, those are the 2 stories where they had years of a storytelling going on, whereas nothing else, everything's just quick rushed into a story. Whereas WWE has that long-term storytelling now that's even decades old,
Right.
so but that Shield music just had me.
Did you? I kind of feel like now, and kind of like the Rock on Monday Night Raw kind of insinuated, right? Like, hey, you're the storyline now with Rhodes and Roman Reigns will be done for a while, and maybe they're going to give Roman Reigns a bit of a break. But I think that lines up now that to set up a feud with Rollins and Roman Reigns. I think there could be a solid storyline there. It seems, you've got the title off. Like, what do they do now, right? So that feud doesn't even need a title, so to speak, because that could be a big buildup right then. Some unfinished business, long-term partners. They were probably in their first WrestleMania together, I'm assuming, as the Shield. I'm sure going back is right. So, I'm interested to see what happens with that feud. But I don't know. I actually really liked, when Cena came out. I really liked when The Rock came out. I love the use of The Undertaker. I was gunning. I was like, please, Stone Cold's music. Please, just all you need is Stone Cold at this point, just to hear the crash and come down, right? That would be absolutely amazing. I would have loved that. Again, I know because it was a special WrestleMania 40 XL that they were doing, so they were paying a lot of tribute, right, to the past, which is great. And you've got those guys all in the ring, and people are still loving it. They all still look great. They all can work a bit in the ring. So it was great to see. I thought, I actually really liked overall. I thought it was a good WrestleMania. I did watch both nights. I did find it when it's 2 nights, it feels a bit short now because I got so used to this like 5 hours where I got time, I could eat dinner, I could do all this stuff, and it's on for starts at like 6, ends at midnight, or whatever happens to be. I know it's a bit shorter now because they've they've kind of cut over 2 nights, and now that they've given time for a press conference, which takes up another hour that you want to tune into to hear. But actually, I thought it was done well. Matches because of the 2 nights. There's matches that probably wouldn't have been on there, in the past, because it wouldn't have time to allow it. So, is that a good thing to have more wrestlers having the ability to, to perform? And even if they're not on the big nights, they've got SmackDown that goes on the Friday, and then they've got Saturday and Sunday, and then we've got the new kind of season premiere, the kickoff, the new season, with Monday Night Raw last night, which, as they said, was the biggest Raw they've ever had, over 20,000 people. That's what they're saying last night, which it looked like a huge arena. But was that just the Philadelphia Flyers, like their normal arena? Because they made it look damn big.
That's where the Flyers play, that arena. That's the Flyers stadium. But those records are public. You can look at online about how many actual seats are sold for events. And they actually only sold about 18,000 seats last night for Raw. So they really didn't sell 20,000. Just like how, and I will say it as being as an AEW fan, they really didn't sell as many as they said they did at All In. They sold a little less, so those numbers are going to be inflated no matter what, just because they want to boost those numbers up, because that brings in more revenue from sponsorships and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still a big freaking crowd in that arena, even for being 18,000 with the max capacity being about 20,000. So even though they were short 2,000 people, the way that arena was set up did not look like there was 2,000 less people in there. And if you notice, they had a smaller entranceway. They didn't have the big jumbotron, all that. They had a smaller entranceway, so they had the people in the back can actually see. So
yeah, you know what? I like that. And last night, I don't know. Again, maybe I was thinking. I actually had the new kind of setup for the Monday Night Raw the way it was. To me, I almost had an AEW feel. The long, on the floor, the walk to the ring, the darkness. It was really dark up top. They really kept it and just had like the lights going around Monday Night Raw, kept it really dark. The smaller, because AEW's also played around with some smaller entrance ways as well, where the guys are just kind of walking through, coming around, with the imagery, and the LEDs are kind of going all encompassing. I actually really liked it, and it just made it look huge. Because again, I don't know if it's the smaller stage, they were able to utilize more space and have a longer runway, which I like the old school WWF long like run. I remember you used to see it looked like it took them 10 minutes to walk to the ring in the olden days, right? I used to love that. Where they really had to walk through the crowd, it was tight, and then they went to the big ramps, and everything was like fans were really far apart. So I kind of like when it's closer and longer, which is kind of typical of some of the bigger shows or stadium field shows, like a Royal Rumble, for example, is like, right. So I do like that look. So if this is a new look, this is great. I actually really like it. I don't know if they just did it for this show to maximize capacity, kind of like you mentioned, knowing it was going to be a big show, and they're going to go back to a big giant screen. But I don't know. I kind of like this look. I like the setup. I'm a big setup looking guy. Like I love the way looking at way shows are set up. That's a big part that I really appreciate for any wrestling show. I just think it really adds to it. I don't know. It just kind of felt a little AEW to me, just the way the lighting and the way it was done. So, but I don't know. Did you like the new setup? Or
It was interesting. It was an interesting new setup for Raw. I will say this: I do enjoy seeing the tunnels back for AEW. I think it's good that they brought that back. I wasn't a big fan of what AEW was doing without the tunnels. It was kind of weird to me. But bringing the tunnels out back, I think was perfect. I love the tunnels. I mean, it was what made AEW to begin with was the tunnels. Because then you have the heels come out of one, the faces come out of the other. It was perfect. You knew who was coming out of what. But I actually did enjoy the new setup for Raw, where they didn't have the big jumbotron, because you talk about people getting seats with view is limited. Let's say you go to the opera or the orchestra, and you get a seat, and there's the pole right in the dead center, and you can't really see the show unless you kind of like lean around the pole. I mean, they really say that view is limited for certain seats. Someone had posted a picture of them being at WrestleMania, and one of the like above the stage, and the light was like right in front of their face, that like the little movement light that can shine lasers and all that. And like you would have to literally do that to kind of see what was going on. So I actually like the new setup for Raw, to where even those people like with the entranceway can actually see everything coming out. So
So, what's your overall opinion of WrestleMania? How did you like it? And what did you think? A couple of bright spots? Did you have any issues with it? What did you feel overall?
it was good. I mean, I actually had some moments where I was like, whoa, and I even popped. Damian Priest cashing in and
Mhm.
beating Drew McIntyre in 5 minutes after CM Punk costed him. And so this was after Drew McIntyre beat Seth. Uh, the Rhea Ripley Becky match did not live up to the hype, because I think Becky was sick during that whole week leading up. I guess they were saying she had a fever of like 102
Really?
that whole week building up. Yeah, so she wasn't feeling good. I will say one thing: the Gunther Sami Zayn match, very underrated, because there was a spot in the match where Sami Zayn had performed that top rope brainbuster
Hmm.
to Gunther. A lot of people don't know this, but he used to do that move as El Generico, his old persona in PWG and all those independents and everything like that. So he used to do that move as El Generico, and he has never done it in WWE. That was the first time he did it in WWE, and I popped, because I was like, that's El Generico's move. So I thoroughly enjoyed that and everything like that. Make sure you were safe. uh, but sorry, talking to my lady.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I popped for that because I'm like, dude, that's what El Generico used to do. Because you watch the matches he had with Kevin Steen
Mhm.
or Kevin Owens, and he did it to him all the time in their feud. It was awesome. Uh, but overall, the show was good. I'm glad Cody finished the story. It's just so weird. And I posted in our group chat last night about saying it's so weird seeing him hold the WWE title right now, knowing that he had left there to go form AEW. And I'm so used to seeing him hold the TNT title. Like that was me. I was just sitting there going, so used to seeing this guy hold the AEW TNT championship, and now he's holding the WWE title that his dad never had. So, but it was a good WrestleMania. Triple H kept saying it was their biggest one. They
Mhm.
keep saying that every year. But I thought it was good for what it was. There were some decent matches, and then there were some matches that, could have done without. So,
I actually thought it was when Cody came out, and I don't know if it was a bit of a peace offering because do you remember when years ago when Triple H came out and he had the skull
mhm.
mask and the crown? I know Cody's got it as part of his insignia and his logo, but I thought when he came out, I was like, "Ooh, this is kind of like it's come back full circle." Where he laughed, remember, and then when he was in AEW and he's with the sledgehammer and he smashed and blew up the chair, which was supposed to represent Triple H, kind of like we're in the new era now. So it's kind of come back full circle where he is now doing the entrance before he wins the WWE title, and he's got the same type of mask as what Triple H wore. Um, so I don't know if there was anything kind of behind that. I thought that was interesting. I did. It's funny the references, all the Rocky references that went on through the whole thing. I mean, you had the New Day came out. They were in their boxing, kind of attire. That was obviously supposed to be a bit of a tribute to Rocky. And then, of course, the whole storyline with Sami Zayn and Gunther, and then you had his, of course, he's got his Sami Zayn's kind of plain Jane type wife, right, representing Rocky Balboa's girlfriend at the time or wife, you know what I mean? So
Adrian. Yep.
Adrian, right? So they really played the whole thing up. So I thought that was great that I think they really went and played with the history of WrestleMania. They really kind of played with Philadelphia and the things that made Philadelphia kind of famous.
Not to mention all the green that all these wrestlers are wearing in honor of the
Yes,
Philadelphia Eagles, like all the
yes.
green. And then
Oh,
you had both Lane Johnson and Jason Kels interfere in that tag match. I'm just like, oh, okay. Like they interfered in that Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio tag match, and it was
yes.
Jason Kels. The best part of it was, I don't know who said it. I don't know if it was Corey Graves or Pat McAfee who said, "Oh, Jason Kels, he's Taylor Swift's boyfriend's brother." like,
Yeah.
like, he did that. He didn't even name his brother. He just said that's Taylor Swift's boyfriend's brother. Like they didn't even mention Travis Kelce's name at all. So I thought that was pretty funny.
That's fun. But they are brothers, right? Because
Yes.
they look identical or look very close from that.
Yeah.
But and I know from a right, because they're mentioning measuring the success when you mentioned the metrics and saying it's the best biggest one ever. I mean, they blew it out of the water. I mean, they're doing things like merchandise, but I can see it when they set up, like now when they do the fan experience, it looks like a giant convention center. That's all it is to pump. So everyone comes in and just buys tons of shit, right? No wonder, merchandise went off the, racks because again, they set up a giant warehouse specifically for you to come in and spend a ton of money. And then of course they've got the online store that's all set up. So I can see why that went nuts. They're measuring in terms of the social media, all the hits that they had, right? So, and again, because things are so expensive, and the gate, I can see why the gate every year is the biggest gate ever. Because again, the tickets just get more expensive, and everything around it. They're smart about selling packages, bigger packages than ever. But hey, come and see, you get 4 or 5 nights, 5 events, stayed hotel. Like they're just amazing at creating and making as much money as possible. And I can see why every city wants this, because they do a great job for really promoting every city that they're in. I think I don't think they could have hyped up or bigged up Philadelphia any more than they did. Right. Again, from what you were saying, how many guys were wearing green? I mean, Rey Mysterio looked like he had friggin' the Eagles logos like all over him. Right. So, but hey, you know what? They deserved it. And I think it's great. I like when wrestlers give props and recognize the city that they're in, especially if they have good fans. So I do appreciate that. But it was a good show. Again, I thought it delivered. There was definitely some good spots. I think the quality of the wrestling, the performances are top notch. There's such good talent in professional wrestling overall that it's hard to get a bad match. I mean, how can you have a bad match at WrestleMania? I mean, right? Yep. Hey, Mike. I agree with you there. Kind of made me think of the Madison Square Garden. Yeah, it's true. That's interesting. So we'll see if they're going to go and just change it up. But
mentioned the line about the Jason Kels, being Taylor Swift's boyfriend's brother. And then he mentions they were chanting Punk a lot. Well, he was on the pre-show, so yes. And then he did mention that people spent $13,000 for the front seats.
Yeah, I looked up. I heard that there was even some tickets went up. They said for $24,000. So can you imagine? My God, I know. I was looking around the ring and I was thinking,
to sell your firstborn for that,
right? And I was thinking of looking at all the people who are all around the ringside, and I was thinking, like, who are these people? They must be all related, must be family, must be connected. There's no way between everybody that you're not going to have someone that's important to you at ringside there.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be amazing. Anyways, I would love to be at a show. I mean, would I pay $24,000? No, not unless I won the lottery and I had boatloads of money to spend. And of course I would do front row for any event I possibly could. But good show. I know it was a little bit cold. Seemed to be pretty chilly on the first night. And Triple H gave the reason for the bigger pops on the Saturday night because it was a warmer crowd. And when you've got a bit warmer temperature, fans loosen up and get more into it. So they were sitting on their hands a little bit more on Friday night. Because I think it creeped down to about 50 degrees. I think it did at one point, as opposed to over 60 degrees Fahrenheit on the Sunday night, which made it a bit warmer. But overall, it was a great weekend of wrestling, and I think we'll wrap it up for this week, Adam. We've gone over. We had some good talk, and I know next week we'll also be getting right back into it. We got some good wrestling that's going to be coming up this weekend as we inch closer and closer to Dynasty, the next AEW pay-per-view, which I think is shaping up to be a good one I think it's at the 25th or 26th of April, I believe it is.
It is the 20. Let me look it up. Believe it is the 21st. It is the 21st of April. It's that Sunday.
Oh, okay. So,
yeah. So it is. Yeah, it's going to be the 21st of April, and it's going to be a really good pay-per-view. I know New Japan's got something coming up this weekend as well in Chicago.
Yeah.
A lot of good matches there. I know, and to answer Alexis, yes, I do like Punk. Being a Chicago boy from the suburbs, actually, but growing up in Chicago, I did watch. I do remember Punk in his early days before he even went to WWE and Ring of Honor. So yes, I do like Punk. I just hope that his drama's behind him and kind of moves forward. And so, but yeah, no, a lot of good wrestling coming up. A Dynamite tomorrow, and actually a little special announcement. Anybody watching and listening, tomorrow night before Dynamite, I got the word from our faithful producer Connor at 6:00, an hour before Dynamite. Juventud Guerrero will be coming on for an interview. So he has finally finalized it. So Juventud Guerrero, former Cruiserweight champion and former WCW wrestler, luchador, legendary luchador, will be on before Dynamite tomorrow at 6:00, an hour before. So and then we'll have Rampage and then Collision on Sunday.
Is that
That's
6?
Central Times, so it'd be 5 o'clock
No,
Eastern.
it'd be 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock Eastern.
7 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank
Right.
you. It'll
Because
be six
Dynamite.
o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. Boom. There you go. So that's pretty much.
Oh, all right. Good. Good. That's great. All right. And then you've got your show talking
Yes.
on Thursday nights.
Yes, we'll actually be covering indies. We'll be covering the indies right this Thursday about some good indie wrestlers, which ones are rising stars, which indie promotions really get the biggest fan bases, who's got the best heat right now, indie pro wrestling, the beginning of indie pro wrestling, and all that stuff. We'll go back to the history of when did independent wrestling actually take off. So that's going to be our show on Thursday.
Oh, that sounds interesting. And I know your stuff, Adam. So I know that'll be a good show. So everyone, tune into that show as well. And we'll be back next week. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Please like and subscribe, and invite all your family and friends. And we always appreciate everybody who takes the time to comment and listen and watch. Much appreciated. And we'll see you all next week, and enjoy another week of wrestling. And Adam, always a pleasure, sir. And we'll see you very soon. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Good night.